constantly find myself questioning why I am in a certain position or role that I've had over. It can weigh heavy on your mental health. It's like the two voices in your mind, isn't it? One on this shoulder saying, yeah, you can do it. And then the other one here going, what on earth are you even thinking that, you're capable of?
And whether you have faith or no faith, or whether you just have that inner gut feeling about the journey, your journey, you've got to believe. So guys, welcome to the channel. I'm so delighted to be here with Jonathan Needham, otherwise known as
Jonny Needham.
There you go, it's that simple. 3 decades in the industry.
As of December this year, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, started when I was 18.
Yeah.
Literally fell into it, and I'm 48 at the end
Wow.
of this year, which, blink and you would have missed it.
I know the feeling. It's kind of like I'm 54 and I'm thinking, wow, got to keep finding that energy to keep going and going and going. And
yeah, I think you find it through different sources though, don't you?
you do. I think if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work.
That's true. I think that's one of those memes that you see, or a TikTok video. Find something that you love to do and you never work another day in your life.
I kind of believe that, to be honest, because just talking to Ross earlier today, he was working to 4:30 in the morning, and he was saying, at 20 years young, he's blessed with energy. And like for me, yeah, I wish I had the energy that I used to have, but I kind of like bed between 9 and 10 and up between 5 and half, 6, depending on where I am in the world.
I'm an early riser. I think with maturity, though, whilst you might lose a little bit of that energy, I think you gain confidence and also a bit of self-assurance. You're a bit more comfortable with who you are.
I think so, but I think that takes time, isn't it? I think it's having that confidence in yourself and who you are. It takes a long time sometimes for that to show.
I mean, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. There's never been a day professionally where, personally as well to a certain extent, in some instances, where, I constantly find myself questioning why I am in a certain position or role that I've had over the 3 decades, as we've mentioned. But I do think whilst that then weighs heavy, or it can weigh heavy on your mental health, because you're constantly sort of questioning yourself. It's like the two voices in your mind, isn't it? You've got one on this shoulder saying, yeah, you can do it. And then the other one here going, what on earth are you even thinking that, you're capable of getting involved?
That's hard though, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of like, you have to believe. And whether you have faith or no faith, or whether you just have that inner gut feeling about the journey, your journey, you've got to believe.
100%. And I do think that having that imposter syndrome, to a certain extent, provides a little bit of an edge, because it's that gets me up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning.
That's an early number. What time do you go to bed?
Probably around sort of 10, half 10 on a weekday. We unfortunately and very unexpectedly lost my dad in June of this year, and he went to bed on the evening of the 7th of June, didn't wake up on the 8th.
I like that in some respects, because my father was ill for 20 years with Parkinson's, and when he finally did pass, even though it was expected, it was still a shock. But the pain and the suffering for so long, I found not pleasant.
No.
So it's tough. Whenever we lose a loved one, it's horrendous.
But I suppose the experience you went through, it's like a never-ending road. I think grief's a funny thing, isn't it? And, again, we were talking earlier that...
I don't know how much you want me to say or not. I mean, for me, when my father died, I would just literally start crying for no reason. Literally no reason. I couldn't understand why I was crying. And it was sudden, unexpected. And you said you hadn't.
Yeah.
Which I found odd, knowing how I was. But then, unfortunately, your mother now has cancer and surgery, and she's dealing with the loss of her husband.
Yeah, and I don't know whether all that emotion, my subconscious, and I think your subconscious is a very powerful thing, and a lot of the time we don't even know what it's doing or why it's doing it. Maybe my subconscious is suppressing all that because myself and my brothers need to stay focused on getting my mum through, this process that she's going through. And she will beat it. She's been through chemotherapy. She's got surgery booked in 2 days' time. Then a very intensive course of radiotherapy. Jeez. And it's rough. But I have to say, despite what you read and hear in the press and on the news about the NHS, they've been absolutely fantastic, absolutely first class.
But that's always the way, isn't it? You kind of like the news is really just the 1%. There is 99% of stuff, which
But
is
you never
amazing.
hear that.
I know you don't, which is
You
sad.
never hear that. And similarly, on the face of it, you and I appear to be confident individuals putting ourselves on film, but equally, we both know that we've had challenges with our own mental health.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't make a secret of it. I don't go sort of shouting about it. If anybody wants to sit down and have a conversation, more than happy to.
Yeah.
I don't force it on people. And I think when I first met you at that airfield in near Retford, Nottinghamshire, I sensed a real synergy and a sort of connection. That was over a year ago now,
I know.
13 months ago. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but there's been an awful lot of stuff that I've learned from you.
Likewise too.
Tips, techniques, specifically around proactively managing my own mental health. And I think the first step in the journey is acknowledging, putting your hands up and saying, look, I accept that I have to proactively manage my mental health on a day-to-day basis.
But I think for me, it's kind of like so many people don't realise that there are so many people that are struggling. A couple of things that stand out for me. Once, when my daughter was very unwell, she's now had surgery, she's now finally recovered. But at my worst, I was suicidal. I was like, I think I remembered I posted something on LinkedIn once and I was crying my eyes out and I needed help and I didn't know who to talk to. And I posted that and I don't think anyone asked if I was okay. And I was really, really struggling. Everyone thought I was fine and I wasn't fine. I struggled, and it's like, for me, I used to go to church with my late father. We used to go to the Salvation Army and I found peace there. And then, the child psychologist that said, Paul, you need help. I'm not going to medicate you. Go sea swimming. And I said, are you beep nuts? And he said, no, you'll be nuts if you don't go. And then I think I started sea swimming, it was January, it's freezing cold. And I just couldn't understand how people could get in the cold sea and the water. I kind of did it bit by bit, but also I went to extremes where one day I did a little test to see if I could actually die, which is really sad because when I was really, really low, I'd read about hypothermia and you can die from it. And I thought, okay, cool, let's do 20 minutes. And I was nuts and I was stupid and it's irresponsible.
Did you think that was a way out?
I just needed help. Because I don't know if I really, really wanted to do it, but at the time there was one day where I was swimming and I nearly drowned and I didn't care if I lived or died. I honestly didn't care. Because I thought, for me, life cover, payout, family, kids will be sorted, mortgage paid off, they'll be fine. But in reality, that wasn't an answer. When you build a business and you go 24/7, I slept in the office when I started the business, I slept in the office when I finished the business. I wish I'd stopped earlier, but when you have a transaction going through and then Liz Truss happened, the phone stopped ringing, you're paying in 100, 150,000 a month. And when it's your business and you lose 500,000 plus and you have two investors that lose the same sum of money, it's kind of like, it was tough. I mean, it was horrendous. And the society kind of pressures that you have about failure, it's horrible.
It's a label.
It's horrible. It's not, and for people like Stephen Bartlett and things, I'm super grateful for because they kind of rebrand failure and it's like fail fast, learn fast. And I have to say, when things are great, you don't really learn anything. You just think, oh, I'm amazing, it's wonderful. When you don't learn anything, when you have challenges, you find solutions. And when you have solutions, things get better.
Well, I think it was Alex Ferguson who said, winning's easy, but failing or not winning, that's the real test.
No, it's true.
What do you do then? And who was it that said, have you failed? Good. Fail again, but fail better.
Yeah.
I remember you and I having a conversation, a few months ago about the people who are really successful. And I take my hat off to all this stuff that you're doing and the followers that you've got. And, it's an incredible story and transformation, I think, to watch, from the sidelines. Incredibly proud of you as a friend as well. I class you as a friend. Feel lucky to have you as a mate, really. But if you're going to be like super successful, you've got to fail a few times.
Yeah, at the time you feel awful.
Yeah.
You feel like you've let everyone down. Your friends, your family, your staff. I mean, I've had people that worked with me for 20 years. They were my family. And it's kind of sad that you feel so many different emotions and you know, my journey on this kind of camera, YouTube, TV stuff, whatever it is, it's kind of not real, but these cameras are here and this audience, you know, we may get 10 to 50,000 views of what we're doing now with these cameras recording. You know, it's kind of crazy to think, but it's kind of like, I just want to help people. I don't care about the money. I've made money, I've lost money, you know, and I've been blessed to make $1 million, lose $1 million. I was a victim of fraud, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter.
I think if you make money your primary focus, I'm not sure whether that drives the wrong behaviour.
No, agreed.
Outwardly and inwardly as well. You know, your thought process. You know, like we were saying about your attitude towards certain things changes over time as you get older, a bit of maturity, and you chase things thinking that actually that's what I should be doing. That's what I should be focusing on. But actually, for me, the realisation of what really matters is having a nice family, being able to have time to spend with those people who you want to spend time with, having a nice home, having the ability to just take some time sometimes. You know, we're a million miles an hour, aren't we? Monday to Friday, sometimes it's Monday to Saturday, from waking up to, you know, going back to bed. And, you know, sometimes just having the opportunity to have some quiet time, I think is really, really underestimated. It's undervalued.
100%. You need to reflect. And it's like last week, I was in Dallas, I landed Saturday, I flew to Manchester yesterday, I'm here, then I'm in Nottingham, blah, blah, blah. I'm busy every day. I still haven't digested the 20 presentations in 3 days from last week.
How do you set time aside? So after this latest whirlwind tour, and I remember when you did, it was last summer when you were all over the place.
Yeah, I went around the world.
That
was kind of lonely, and yeah, I struggled then. Because when you have a team of people, you have a great team of people and you trust them and they trust you. And you can just say, do this, do that, or I need help with this, what do you think about that? And then they're all gone, then it's just you and a camera. And like, you know, people keep saying, what's it like behind the scenes? And people keep asking to post more behind the scenes. I'm thinking, do people really want to see that? But it's, yeah.
You'll have to do a bloopers reel, Paul.
There are a lot of bloopers.
I think they're quite entertaining, aren't they? But do you block time aside? So after you've done, you know, like you've said, Dallas,
yeah. I mean,
Manchester, Barnsley.
Yeah, I mean, I always try and stay in a hotel that has a swimming pool and a gym.
Yeah.
So I always try, I get up, meditate, come prayer, either or both. Breathing is so important, so I use Headspace every single day.
Right.
And I try and not pick up my phone for at least half an hour, just so that I can get and wake up. So for me, it's trying to be grounded. So I've been listening a lot to Gary Brecker and Stephen Bartlett recently, and it's kind of like breath work, grounding, cold shower.
Yeah.
So what I've realized is that you can take a genetic test. So there are various genes, and your methylation of how your body works, from what I've learned, is, for me, my late father had Parkinson's.
Right.
So they call it the mother beep gene, and it's called MTHR.
Right.
So that gene regulates dopamine and serotonin. So mine only operates at a 30% level. So during my whole life, I've probably said inappropriate things, drank and been stupid, because I needed the dopamine rushes that gives me to give my body for then it to feel normal.
Yeah.
And it's not normal behavior at all. And it's stupid and it's crazy. And I kind of understand it now.
Yeah.
So for me, I need cold therapy. I need to get up, go for a cold swim or a cold shower, because it gives me, my body, natural dopamine. And then later on, it gives me the serotonin that I need to sleep. And so that genetic test has educated me.
Where would you get that genetic test?
You can do it online.
Can you?
Yeah. So I posted a link on a video about it, and I'll share it again with people, because that is one test that you do that tells you and your body at what it needs and what it doesn't need.
It's like a shock almost.
It's your genetic code. Everyone has one, and your genes are what your genes are. And if you have mental health struggles, and it's normally dopamine and serotonin, so there are times when I feel depressed, and there is no reason for me to be feeling blue. I have a lovely wife, I have 3 lovely kids. We live so blessed to live in a house by the sea, and I meet amazing people, and the list is an endless list. But there's days where I just feel really sad and blue, and there's no need.
Do you find, you know, when people say, and I can relate to that, and experience the same. But then you're asked the question, what's the matter? And it's impossible to answer.
You just don't know. But I do now. Only recently, in the last kind of my journey of discovery of me of the last 6 months, taking that genetic test, I now know that my MTHR gene only operates at 30%. I now know my body doesn't get enough dopamine and serotonin because it can't process, I think it's folic acid or folate, I can't remember, I'll have to look it up. But my body can't process that. So then I now take supplements to help me process that. And I make sure I eat more green leafy vegetables. And I make sure religiously I cold shower or swim every single day.
And again, following the conversations we've had in the past, I absolutely agree with you. You know, I now have a cold shower every morning, magnesium capsules of an evening, which really do improve the quality of my sleep.
Correct.
Turmeric first thing in the morning. Exercise most days. But equally, I do take medication. And
I didn't know that.
I've been taking sertraline around 4 years now.
And how do you feel about that?
I suppose rewinding back 4 years and relating a little bit to what you've just said, I think I'd reached a point, we were coming out of the pandemic. I really struggled in lockdown, just not being around people. My two daughters in particular, my two older daughters, and it was just tough. And I think I reached a point where I knew I needed some help. For me, that worked. I don't drink anymore, used to, maybe to get a bit of a dopamine hit. I haven't actually drank for 98 months.
Wow. So I still have the odd drink, but I have tequila, and that's the only alcoholic drink that's an upper.
Right.
Not a downer. And I only have it every now and again.
I think
everything else stopped, and I feel better for not drinking.
Well, I do. And again, I think, you know, that feeling of being comfortable with who you are and comfortable in your own skin. It was a challenge initially, but that was breaking the habit.
Do you find that the hardest thing I found is, why are you not having a drink?
Yeah.
Are you going to have a drink? Why are you not drinking?
Yeah.
You're feeling okay. Why are you not having a drink? It's like, please, shut up, leave me alone.
I think absolutely at the start, but I think society has come quite a long way. In particular over the last couple of years, where it seems to be more accepted. And there's a range of non-alcoholic beer on the market. So you can almost...
There even this non-alcoholic tequila.
And gin, I hear. But you can almost disguise it. But that's not really appropriate anyway, to disguise the fact that you're not drinking.
I got so fed up at the time, it was kind of like, oh, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And that tended to shut people up. I don't say it anymore, but I did for a while.
I'm very, very confident in, if not absolutely certain, that I was never that bad.
See, my children would say I was Mr. Party Animal. Every Saturday, Friday night, would party to 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
There was a pattern that you'd kind of get to Thursday and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then boom, you're back to Monday. And I don't miss how it left me feeling. I don't really miss that feeling of how it sort of makes you at that point.
So medication, routine, discipline. So
no alcohol.
No alcohol. Exercise. Religiously. What about food? Have you studied your diet in terms of, is there certain things that your body needs or doesn't need? Do you work better with certain things?
So I've got a real sweet tooth.
So how's your blood sugar then? Because I just got type 2 diabetes.
Have you?
Yeah, recently. And it's like, my bloods were like 48 and 49, and I believe it's all of the stress of what I've been through a year ago and stuff that my body's now feeling now, because it takes 3 months for your blood
to catch up.
So we'll see, but anyway.
In answer to your question, after my dad passed away, and given the nature of how he died and the fact that it was so unexpected, me and my brothers have sort of been and checked out and stuff, and everything's fine in that respect. My cholesterol was slightly high. Blood pressure was fine. So, but going back to what you were saying about food, I think sugar is not great for me. So I have to try and consciously regulate the amount. And then it's your carbs, your pasta and your breads, which I love. You kind of feel quite sluggish. So I think the more fresh stuff I have, and my other half, Mariella, has started getting this thing called HelloFresh.
Yeah, we do that.
Which is
great.
It removes you know when you've been working and you get in,
There are no excuses with
and,
HelloFresh.
and you go, what do you fancy for your tea?
Yeah.
And the other person goes, I don't know, what do you fancy? And they go, I don't know.
Exactly.
Whereas with HelloFresh, you go, all right,
Yeah.
what we got today?
Yeah.
Boom. And
Yeah.
it's really easy to
Yeah,
put
it is.
together.
Yeah. And do you feel better for that in terms of, A, it's good for the family because you
Yeah.
know, in our house, my daughter will sometimes cook what's there and it's natural
Yeah,
ingredients.
and I think portion control as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also got my youngest son, Teddy, he helps with the preparation of it. I mean, you can't go wrong, really. It gives you step by step.
So what I'm learning after being in America is that YouTube, as an example, is becoming a family thing. Where if you create a series, families are now sitting down and watching YouTube as a family.
Really?
Whenever they like. When I look at my content, 75% of my content is consumed on TV.
Right.
TV, YouTube is streamed more than any other, Netflix, Disney, than anything else in the world.
Right.
So going back to what I'm thinking about is that
Yeah.
you could be doing your HelloFresh whilst watching YouTube, because people, I never realized this in America, how big a thing YouTube is and how big a world the creator economy is.
Yeah. I think
About experiences.
The Metaverse, and I mean, we did some work last year. It was a guy who's at a local football club and developing team that compete online, sort of gaming and all that sort of stuff.
It's big business as well. I met a
don't-
guy.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Well, it's professional. It's like a sport. So
Yeah,
if you
it is,
if you play, I don't know, Call of Duty, there
Yeah.
are professional gamers that get paid to play Call
Yeah.
of Duty because they're so good. I met a
But
guy.
people watch it.
Yeah, but I get a guy in America. There was a stadium full, and there was a square in the middle, and the gamers were gaming, and everyone else was watching. And they also had drone races.
Right.
So like Formula One goes around a track, you
Yeah.
have drone races flying drones around. Unbelievable.
Well, apparently within this Metaverse, you can go to a concert. So you don't leave your bedroom. You go and watch. Maybe that's a way of going and seeing Oasis a bit easier than.
That's a great idea. Oasis Metaverse.
Yeah. But don't you worry about the impact that could have on people living their lives through.
I don't worry about it because I've learned that I can only just worry about myself.
Circle of influence, circle of concern.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I used to worry about other people a lot. I used to worry about what other people used to say and think. Now I don't care at all. I don't. That's not easy.
Do you think that that's quite liberating?
Yeah, I do. But I think as you get older, you turn to just get comfortable with being you and who you are. And like for me, it's just I just want to help people now if I can. Whatever way that is. If I can help someone, I will. I don't really care about the money because for me, it will look after itself. But if I help someone and it can help someone else and just simple things. I mean, I saw this guy, Mark Hamilton Taylor, posted this board where it was in a restaurant, coffee shop where people had already paid forward people's meals.
All right.
I love that idea. Just put a board up in a restaurant somewhere and pay for future meals. So people that don't have
strangers.
money, strangers could come in and say, well, I'll have the scrambled eggs today. Boom. So there's a board where half the board is a cup of coffee, cup of tea, baked beans on toast. Meals that people had paid for, stuck on the board, so that people can come in, pick off a meal, and then give it to the server, and the server makes what's on the ticket.
Right.
Love that idea.
And that's in America?
No, it's here.
Oh, right.
It's in the UK.
Really?
A guy posted about it.
Right.
And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try and find a way to find. And I got told about it in Guernsey, where there was a coffee shop place that already does that for the community. A lot of people think that Guernsey is like a really wealthy place, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a tax-friendly place, but 23% of the population earn less than 23,000 a year. And the living costs are similar to London. For me, a lot of people that don't earn well would be financially better off by moving to live somewhere else.
Were you born there?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, so Guernsey born and bred.
I am, yeah. I love the island, but it could be so much better. It could be run better. The decisions we make are not good decisions. We try and run our own airline when, countries like Singapore and, the Middle East do it, but they've got the budget to burn. As if you look at Jersey, which is another Channel Island, they probably give 10 or 20 million to 4 or 5 airlines to provide a service. But a gentleman I met last week flew for £50 single to Glasgow or Edinburgh.
Right.
Sometimes I pay £250 return.
So, going off on a tangent now,
Yeah.
why wouldn't Guernsey look at Jersey and think, actually...
It's a bit like Portsmouth and Southampton and
right.
Tottenham and Arsenal, the
Right,
rivalry and
yeah.
stuff. And the thing is, when you've lived away for a long time and you come back to an island, you think about the world and you think about how we can work together. But if you've never left that island,
quite insular,
you just think about it. And there's lots of people that comment about, oh, Jersey had more TV coverage than Guernsey.
Right.
And that stuff, when people are dying in the world and stuff, it doesn't really matter.
No, in the
it
grand
does
scheme
to
of
them
things.
and it does to those people, and I get that, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know?
What would you expect for your kids then in terms of Guernsey? Would you actively encourage them to
I want them to travel and
try
see
and
the
get
world
off the island and
be the best they can be? You know, I just want them to be happy. I just want my children to be happy.
I think I can relate to that. I think you want them to be safe first of all.
True.
You want them to be happy.
Guernsey's very safe. I mean, it's kind of like people don't lock their cars.
I saw the
or the
video you
doors.
did.
Yeah.
Did people not think it was strange that you were going around checking the car doors?
Yeah.
It did occur to me.
I got in trouble.
Could you imagine doing that in Barnsley?
I don't know. I looked out the window this morning and I thought this is a real northern town. It's
Yeah.
like real people. But I find when I visit northern towns, everyone's super friendly.
Yeah.
Really friendly. I found that in Dallas in America. I was kind of surprised
Right.
at how friendly people were.
Right.
Much more like, good morning, how are you, than I see here.
Right.
A lot more.
Right.
I was really kind of surprised by that.
I think Barnsley is a very traditional northern working class town, coal mining heritage, glass making, and to a certain extent it's still a generation behind in some instances.
But I saw that in America with the journey that I was on. We're probably 5 years out of date in terms of AI and stuff. The adoption of it and things is incredible.
Don't you think that's a bit scary though?
No, I don't. to be
Really?
honest. No, I think in the UK, it can be, depends on your mindset. I think our productivity in the UK isn't high enough, and we're not adapting technology fast enough. We're not educating and training and learning fast enough to make a difference, is my honest opinion. I mean,
Is that because we're scared of it, do you think?
I think we are, and I think naturally British English people are probably more reserved and are a little bit like that, more than other entrepreneurial countries. But I think for me, faster, quicker, better is how I am as a person. I have zero patience, unfortunately. And I think we need to take it on and learn, because write me a board report, analyze all of this data. And like Gary Brecker tests 20,000 people a month on their DNAs, and he can predict what he's seeing from 20,000 people about heart attacks, strokes, all sorts of things from multiple tests.
Right.
So the more data we have and the more machines we have that are machine learning and the better analysis we can get, I think we'll get answers to a lot of.
I suppose if it's
challenges.
controlled, I suppose there's
Agreed. I mean,
maybe
there's
it's
always the
propaganda
war.
that people
know.
spin the whole world
Yeah.
will take over the world.
Agreed.
And,
Not an
before we
easy
know
one.
where we are, it's
It could be a lot of trouble.
yeah.
But we're going to run out of time on the batteries, on the cameras, because of the lights.
Okay.
So advice and tips for people that may be struggling with their mental health. So I posted on LinkedIn recently, we're going to do a cold plunge thing. We'll do a bit of breath work.
Yeah.
We're going to do a hot and cold, because I've recently discovered sauna sea swimming. So I did that in Alderney with Adrift and Hot House in Guernsey recently. So you have a cold swim, 10 minutes, sauna 10 minutes, and you rotate.
Yeah.
That's the kind of best thing I've ever done recently.
Yeah. Might be a bit of a challenge in South Yorkshire.
There's got to be somewhere where there's a lake, and we can have a sauna.
Yeah.
There's the mobile sauna. It actually moves. You can.
Well, there's
converted
a
horse
sauna down at the gym,
Yeah.
which I use in conjunction with the cold shower.
Do you feel better for that? Or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
I wonder why that is. We need to study why that is.
Yeah.
So going back to advice for people that may be struggling, talk to people, and sometimes you don't know when people are struggling, because they don't tell you they're struggling, and even if you ask them, they don't really talk to you. That's the hard part, I find.
Yeah, I think if you've struggled yourself, I think you can pick up on it, as I did with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, you kind of saved my life that day. I was feeling really flat and blue, and you just said a few nice words that kind of made all the difference. Because when you're the leader, the owner, the manager, the number one, no one really says, hey, Paul, well done, or proud to be your friend, or whatever those little simple words are. And even now, if I see a cleaner cleaning toilets, I will always say, guys, thanks for doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because no one does that.
No.
How many people actually say thank you
Yeah.
or well done?
Yeah.
Not
I think
enough.
it's just basic things like holding a door open for people. You do that and people look at you as if you've just fallen off another planet.
But in America, it's like everyone was telling me, have a great day, and how's your day today? And are you having a fabulous one? Are you winning? And it was really different. I didn't know whether it was...
Is it a bit over the top though?
Well, I didn't know if it was more faith and religion, because they're very religious, and that's fine and great. And they live it and they believe it, and they're just more positive, is what I found.
What's the best book you've ever listened to or read?
Best book? Right now, it's the YouTube Formula book, because I'm just fascinated with YouTube and monetization and how you can develop an audience and you can help a lot of people. So right now it's the YouTube Formula by Daryl Eves, who was a guy that's had 110 billion views on YouTube. He is the go-to guru for YouTube.
Mine is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. That was a proper paradigm shifter. I'm currently listening again to Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That's amazing. I think going for paradigm shift, it would be The Alchemist.
I haven't read that.
That's a fascinating book because it takes you on a journey. And for me, having been born in Guernsey, leaving, traveling and coming back, it's a bit like The Alchemist. You don't really appreciate what you have until it's gone.
Well,
And also where you live and who's in your life. You don't really appreciate those that are close enough to you. And The Alchemist is a bit like that.
Who's that by, Paul?
I can't, Paolo Kililio or something. I'm terrible, apologies. But PC.
Well, I've got 2 credits on Audible and I was looking for something to download, so yeah.
It's a simple read, it's an easy read, but it really gets you thinking. Really gets you thinking in a kind of fascinating way.
Relentless as well.
Yeah, I've read that. That's
Tim
good.
S. Grosvenor.
It's kind of like, people say, oh, what do you want, where do you want to be? It's about sacrifice. And then kind of, unfortunately, if you want to be like a Kobe Bryant at that level, up at 4 doing his thing, that is another level. And do you really hurt people or not? The one thing I find now when I travel with my children is just let them know how much I love them and say to them, look, I'm away, I'm going to be traveling, but FaceTiming daily and recording video messages to let them know. Because they don't know, your children don't know. And the child psychologist said to me, because you're going away, it's important to tell them whether they're 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going away, Daddy loves you, I'm going to come back, I'm doing this for work.
Yeah.
And talking.
Communication.
So important,
Yeah.
as we both know.
Absolutely.
Done an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
As
Appreciate
always,
it.
And it's going to be amazing to see what we can create from our content. We're trying to do a sea sauna challenge somehow. We're just going to find a date to do it. And we're doing, I think it's October the 11th in London, posted on LinkedIn. We're going to do breath work, cold, hot, whatever.
Yeah.
If we can't do that day, we'll try and find something else.
Yeah, cool.
I won't shake your hand, but thank you so much.
No. Thank you, Paul.
And always pick up a phone.
Yeah.
Talk to someone.
Just talk. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guys, as always, and ladies, please remember to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.